Now it's time for today's guest. King of the Jungle and Emmerdale's Danny Miller swapped the Dales for dummies after the birth of his son Albert back in 2021. Since then, he's tied the knot with his childhood sweetheart Steph, and even more excitingly, the pair welcomed their second child earlier this month. It's safe to say they're keeping busy. Please welcome Danny and Steph Miller.
Thank you. How are you?
Welcome. Oh, I hope we're going to get a glimpse of these babies before you go. Not that it's not lovely to have you here, but yeah, they look so cute. But I was just thinking, Danny, I watched you in the jungle, and you forget time, don't you? Because it was Wales, so it must have been a COVID year. And you just had a new baby then, but that would be Albert.
Yeah, so we worked out the other day, they're the same age now as when I left him to go into I'm a Celebrity. Yeah, so this time I'm getting a little bit more time of the
Because I remember you were kind of jittery about the time and you were talking about having the baby at home.
Yeah, well, we kind of knew that, you know, that was what was going to happen, and Steph was amazing, very supportive, and she said, you know, like, you're doing it. There's no choice, you're doing it, kind of thing. And it was amazing. It gave us, you know, enough kind of budget to have another year off, and look what happened.
Yeah.
We have another one.
Make your own minds up.
So were you sitting at home, Steph, with the baby, watching him on the telly?
Yeah, we went into isolation with Danny when I was 9 days old. So we stayed with him in a cottage for 2 weeks before we went into the castle, which was actually really nice because we had so much time together and like no visitors or anything, so we actually had loads of quality time, and it was lovely, wasn't it? Yeah. And then the hardest part was we had to wave him off, go in the taxi.
Yeah,
that was horrible, the horrible part. And I went back home, and then I didn't see him until the day after he was crowned the king.
Yeah, of course, they take your phones off as well, so I didn't even know if they got home all right. I mean, they said they're fine, but they said no news is good news, which was just horrendous. But that's the rules of the show, and we knew what we signed up for. So.
And you've been together since primary school, is that right?
Well,
how cute is that?
Well, hold the
There's a story here.
We met in primary school, and then we went through high school, and then we kind of drifted off. And I was 17, I moved to Leeds and was on Emmerdale, and then Steph went off and studied for midwifery, and then we met up again about four years.
He sent an Instagram message at 1 a.m. one night, actually. I hadn't spoken to him for 10 years, and I just got a message, yo, where you at? I was like, you could ask me how I've been for the last 10 years, but...
Oh, I love this.
Wow.
We've gone from a primary school love to Stitching City,
Let's go back to the primary school story.
Steph, I wanted to ask you, because I know you've got PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, haven't you? And I think it's really nice to know that, I know that it was tricky a bit with Albert, but Edith was a natural.
Well, we were using Clomid again, so we'd been trying for 6 months and we hadn't conceived, and it was getting close to the wedding, so we thought, with the stress of the wedding and when we're moving house, having another, you know, like with trying for a baby too, it's quite stressful when you're tracking your days. So we put it off till after the wedding, had some fertility investigations again, and we needed Clomid to stimulate the ovaries.
Well, I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there that if you have PCOS, you probably won't ever have children. So, you know, you are the case in point that you can.
That's funny. Can you hear? Can you hear the baby? I can hear. Is that is it lunchtime?
It must be lunchtime. But this time it only took a month, so we were quite surprised, weren't we? Because it was 6 months of Clomid with Albert, and this time was just the first month.
I think that's why we want to kind of be so open about it, is that, you know, we've known so many stories similar to ours, and that, you know, like it can work, and, you know, it's just a case of the miracles.
And how was it for you supporting somebody with something like that? Because I know a lot of friends with polycystic ovaries. It's not talked about, but it's very common. And I wonder how does it feel from the husband's point of view?
I think that's just, you know, I'd like to say it's a job, but it's not a job. That's our role, I think, as your partner, is to be there for my partner Steph, and, you know, I think that was all I ever wanted to do, was just support her as best I could, and you know, I think with the support and helping each other through it worked. So, you know, I think it just shows that once you've got a shoulder to cry on. And
Had you heard of it before?
I'd never heard of it. No, I hadn't heard of it. So.
I think it's tough for the women too, because when you know it's something that's your body that isn't doing something properly, and your partner's had the investigations and everything's come back completely fine.
Yeah.
You feel like a little bit like a pressure on yourself, and you're the reason.
Can we meet these babies? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm not going to feel
Come on,
that.
Granny, you're
Stick
good.
back her.
And Albert. Oh,
Come
and you're a midwife.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Staying alone.
Look at his
The most wonderful job.
This is Steph's mum, Joyce.
Oh, Steph's mum, Joyce.
Okay, I've got to ask
hello.
this question. Where do the curls come from? Who's got curls in the family?
Well, I think both of us have, you know, we've both had curls in the family, but my mum's hair's very similar as a kid. As Albert's,
Gorgeous hair.
as is her mum's. So.
And I wanted to ask you about, I'm a home birth, I have both my babies at home. You had a home birth, right?
Yeah, well, we actually had her at my mum's house because we were in the process of moving again. And my mum was decorating her bedroom, so it was empty, so my mum was really supportive of having a home birth too, because we were umming and ahhing because we'd moved to mum's. So we put the pool up in mum's room, didn't we? And
yeah,
it was amazing.
They were great.
Yeah.
I was very worried about it because obviously Steph's a midwife, so she's been through hundreds of these. So for me, I was just terrified of what may happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what my husband kept saying. Why can't we have someone in a white coat with a stethoscope?
No. But you know what? But Steph was so sort of adamant, and I was there as a support system for that. And whatever she wanted to do, she's the one that's carrying it. So I wanted to try and make sure that I was there as a support system for her. And
That's great, you know.
it
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
You wasn't too sure at first, were you?
Well, I mean, the labour itself, she was like 36 minutes later and the baby's here, which, you know, people would be like, oh, that's amazing. Other people would be like, oh, God, you know, kind of, how's she done that sort of thing? I was in awe of her.
36
Well,
minutes?
my water's... I was in the bathroom with Albert and my water's broke and we were due to take Danny's dad to the garden centre for lunch. And I said, oh, I'm not really contracting, let's just go. We won't tell Triad yet. We'll just go.
She just wanted to go to the garden centre.
And 20 minutes later started contracting, didn't I?
Yeah.
But that would have been a nightmare.
You were
for
being
Danny.
the classic midwife to yourself. Oh, you'll be a long way off yet.
Well, it was that quick, we didn't even have time for gas and air or any pain relief. So
Yeah, it didn't arrive.
You're not supposed to have it, you know.
I know. Well, I wanted it. You know.
I said, I looked back on the messages I'd sent to the midwife and like 20 minutes late after my waters are broke, I'd been like, Danny's being really dramatic. He's saying, I'm getting the pool up, he's running round. And she said, it was a good job he did, because otherwise he wouldn't have got the pool up in time.
Well, listen, it's a thank you for bringing a beautiful
No, thanks for having us.
You're absolutely wonderful. Albert, you have been a
You waving now?
star. Thank you for joining.
Well, just so gorgeous.
Yes, so
Danny and Steph, everyone.
Thank you very much. Kisses, Albert. Wait. What's happened?
Oh, he's a heartbreaker.